Good evening, everybody. And as Rod said, I will be talking about the claim process and what to do if you are involved in a cycling incident. What I would say is we at Cycle Law Scotland, we are all cyclists as well as lawyers. And here are some photographs of us partaking in some cycling events. There's the Pedal for Scotland, and then also the office tandem bicycle. I think that was in use for the Doddy cycle, the charity ride. And here are some photographs of myself. Again, this is a lunchtime cycle with my colleague, and then also at the Leith Cycling Fair, providing some information to cyclists. So first of all, just to clarify the difference between civil law and criminal law. With criminal law, it concerns a person being charged with a criminal offence and the police will be involved. So that might be a charge of the Road Traffic Act, maybe potentially careless driving. And the burden of proof for that, for criminal law, is beyond reasonable doubt. At Cycle Law Scotland, we focus on civil law, and that means that we focus on where there has been negligence, and we focus on pursuing a claim for personal injury and recovering compensation. The burden of proof is a lower burden of proof, and that is on the balance of probabilities. As road users, we all owe each other a duty of care, and we need to establish in a successful claim that there has been a breach of the duty of care by a negligent act, and that negligent act can be a collision. And as a result of that collision, an injury has been sustained. Restitutio ad integrum is the Latin phrase, and this is the reason, the purpose of the award for compensation, and it is to put an injured party as best as possible back in the position they were if the incident had not occurred, and that is the purpose of pursuing a claim for personal injury. So looking at the first steps of pursuing a claim, we adhere to the personal injury protocol, and this is a compulsory protocol with the insurance company. And the first thing that we would do is we would note interest with them. So we would intimate the claim, and then they would come back within a period of 21 days, confirming that they are the insurers of the vehicle. They would then have a period of 12 weeks to investigate liability. Often they come back before the 12-week period, but they are entitled to that. And they would provide their liability decision. There's two aspects of a claim for personal injury. There is the liability aspect, and then there's also quantum. And quantum means value of a claim. So just looking more at liability to start with, these are insurers' excuses that we often hear. For example, there was low sun, the cyclist came out of nowhere, or the cyclist was not wearing a helmet. And these are often insurers' excuses for why their policyholder did not see our clients as cyclists. And it can often be a double-edged sword, as if they say their policyholder did not see our client, but then they say that our client was not wearing a helmet, then they obviously did see our client. We also use numerous experts. If, for example, liability is disputed, or we need to value the claim, for example, we use experts. And experts can be experts in CCTV footage, or experts in road conditions. So an expert looking at a pothole, for example. We also use medical experts to produce a medical report. And we use orthopedic experts, accident and emergency, and for example, psychologists as well. Those are just a few. So looking closely now at the injury aspect of a claim, we would first of all make sure that the client has made a good recovery, and then we would recover medical records. We would then instruct a medical expert to provide a medical report, and the medical report would provide the diagnosis and also the prognosis. Once we have the medical report, we then look to value the claim for injury. And we do that by looking at case law. So previous cases that have gone to court, we look at the awards for the injury that they have received. And then we also look at the judicial college guidelines. And that's a photograph on the slide of the book that we use. And the book details the range of awards for various injuries. And we use that to put together a valuation for a claim. And then we would then put that forward to the insurance company. With the injury element to the claim, there are also other elements. If, for example, you've been off work and you've lost income as a result, that can be factored into a claim. If you have incurred travel expenses, if, for example, cycling is your main mode of transport and you've had to take a taxi or bus, that can also be factored in. So can if you have required help and assistance from a family member. Maybe they've had to help you around the house, go shopping, collect food for you. And also if your cycling helmet has been damaged, or a cycling jacket or a mobile phone. These are all things that can be factored into a claim, as well as the injury element. We would then put all this together as a valuation to the insurance company, and then the insurance company are entitled to a period of 5 weeks under the protocol that we adhere to review all the evidence we provide to them, and then come back with a settlement offer. And we then enter into negotiations with the insurance company and hopefully reach settlement. If, however, for example, the value cannot be agreed and we're too far apart, then we can look to raise a court action. Also, if liability is disputed, then again, we can raise a court action. And we do that with the insurance company, who would instruct solicitors on their behalf, and we would work with the solicitors. The courts produce a court timetable that we work with, and I would say less than 2% of cases go all the way to the court date, which is known as the proof. So there is plenty of opportunity once a case has been raised in court to still settle it. With regards to timescales for making a claim, there is a timescale of 3 years from the date of the incident to make a claim for personal injury. Now, what to do if you are involved in a cycling incident yourself? The first thing I would say is to report the incident to the police. They will give you an incident reference number, and also I would try and, if possible, obtain the vehicle registration number. This is really useful as we use the vehicle registration number to identify the insurance company of the vehicle. Also, if you're able to take photographs from the scene, that's also very, very useful information. This can be also if you are involved in a road defect, if you hit a pothole, if you're able to take photographs either at the time or if you go back later on and take photographs, this is really, really good evidence that we would use. Dash cam footage as well can be very useful to provide that to the insurance company. And here is a picture of a card that we have, which just sets out what to do if you are involved in an incident. And another thing I would say as well is that a really good thing to do is potentially when you get home, if you're able to write down a description of what happened. It's really useful to then go back to in case you forget. And here again is photographs of more information that we can provide. And what I would say is that if you think you have a claim, you have been involved in an incident, by all means give us a call, even if it is just for some advice. We are more than happy to provide that to you. And these are some photographs of some campaigning, some charity campaigning that we have been involved in at Pedal for Scotland, and also the presumed liability roadshare campaign. That's a picture of our senior partner, Brenda Mitchell, on the left of the picture there. And the presumed liability campaign is to change the current law. So instead of a injured cyclist having to prove that it was the car driver at fault, we would reverse that and make the car driver prove that they were not at fault. There's more information about that online on our website, including a link to the petition. Okay, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
I definitely can see one question come up from David McClavin. I don't know if you can see that, Zara. He was asking whether cyclists can be prosecuted for road traffic offences committed on a bike, and can they get points on their license because of this? I assume this might be speeding potentially, particularly given there are 20-mile-an-hour limits, or maybe riding recklessly. What's the position? Can you receive points on your license? Can you be charged by the police for a criminal offence?
So you can be charged with a criminal offence. I rarely have had any clients that have. I think from any experience, I think the police are more likely to give you a warning than to charge you. That's my experience so far. But there are obviously laws in place that you are supposed to adhere to if you are riding a bicycle.
I think I have heard actually of licenses being points being added to licenses, but it's very rare. I'm not particularly sure what the item was, David, that you thought, or particular action you thought might be the case, but it can happen. Any other questions out there at all? Can I ask if it's only road traffic, cyclists v motorists, you deal with? I'm thinking when cyclists have to ride. Don't quite know what he means by that. Is it only road traffic?
We deal with road traffic as well and pedestrian as well. That helps.
Kevin, we have 3 separate brands under the road traffic accident law. One is Cycle Law Scotland, which obviously we're representing tonight. We have another brand and another organisation called Motorcycle Law Scotland that represents injured motorcyclists. And if you're a pedestrian and you have been involved in a road traffic incident, we have a group of people under the pedestrian law brand who can help you there. So we look after all vulnerable road users. The only ones we haven't got any specialists are for horse riders. Question, I think, Zara, from Joachim. How do you determine your fees? Is it always the fixed percentage of the actual claim paid?
So we deduct our fee from the award that you would receive, and we cap that at 15%. But we don't take our fee from, for example, your damaged bicycle or your cycling kit. You would receive all that back in full.
So they're all ring-fenced in effect?
Yeah.
Okay, hope that helps, Joachim. Thanks for the questions. Anybody else got any more questions? Oh, here's another one, I think. Hold on a second, from Kevin. Oh, bridleways with pedestrians. I'm thinking when cyclists have to ride on bridleways with pedestrians. I guess he's maybe asking if there are incidents between bridleways for horses with pedestrians. These, I guess, multi-ways, like for instance in the Tweed Valley. Are there issues, are there cases that we can look at potentially if, I guess, a pedestrian's been involved with a cyclist or a cyclist with a horse? What's the position with those?
So definitely, if there's something in particular, we're obviously more than happy to have a chat. What I would say with the cycle paths or shared use paths is you are supposed to, it's for everybody. So you're supposed to be aware of pedestrians or cyclists or horse riders. So you're all supposed to work together and use the path. But I'm more than happy to provide advice if there's a particular issue.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions at all? I think that maybe them. Oh yes, another one come in. Oh, understood. However, most pedestrians wear headphones. So we're talking about situations where, well, I wouldn't say most pedestrians wear headphones. I suspect there are some individual wearing headphones. I guess from our own experience, my own experience, and Zara will answer from a legal perspective, my own perspective, clearly if you're riding on a multi-use way when you've got pedestrians in front of you, it's only courteous to let them know as early as possible that you're coming behind them, either to the right or to the left. You should obviously ring a bell. I know they may not hear you, but it just doesn't make sense to recklessly keep riding at pace when they potentially might move to the right or left. And I guess if everybody's courteous towards each other, particularly those who are able to cause more harm than those that are vulnerable, then I think it's just a nicer way to operate.
No, I agree. I think if you have let the pedestrian know that you are approaching, and if you have rang your bell but you still think they haven't heard you, I would always suggest just slowing down and being on the safe side.
Any other questions? If not, I think we can wrap it up there. Thanks, Zara. Thanks for your time again. Can I just say that next week we've got Roz Boynton, whom I don't think you've heard. She's our Aberdeen-based solicitor, cycling solicitor. Roz is going to be talking about hazards and road surface defects. So that's things like potholes, expansion joints, diesel spills, all types of potential hazards on the road there for cyclists, and how we are dealt with those types of hazards in relation to personal injury claims. So if you want to join us again, look out for the link, and we'll hopefully see you next week.